The sun was dipping low over my ranch, casting long shadows across the fields, when a shiny SUV roared up my dirt driveway, kicking up clouds of dust. I stepped out of the barn, wiping sweat from my brow, expecting a delivery or maybe a neighbor. Instead, a woman in a tailored blazer and stilettos that had no business on a ranch stormed toward me. Her name, I'd later learn, was Karen, and she was about to turn my quiet evening into a circus. "That's my pickup," she shrieked, pointing at my beat-up but beloved black Ford F-150 parked by the hay bales. Her voice was sharp enough to cut glass, and her eyes gleamed with a mix of entitlement and fury. I blinked, confused. My truck? The one I bought 5 years ago, worked to the bone to pay off, and driven through every muddy season? She had to be joking. But Karen wasn't laughing. She was demanding I hand over the keys, claiming I'd stolen it from her dealership lot in town. I tried reasoning with her, showed her my registration papers, but Karen wasn't here for logic. She waved her manicured hand dismissively, calling me a thieving ranch rat and threatening to call the cops. My workers, Juan and Maria, overheard the commotion and wandered over, exchanging wary glances. Karen's accusations grew louder, drawing a small crowd of curious hands. She claimed she'd bought the truck last month, that it was custom ordered, and I'd somehow swiped it. Her story was flimsy, but her confidence was bulletproof. I felt my blood boil not just at the absurdity, but at the way she sneered at my ranch, my life, like it was beneath her. I told her to call the cops. She smirked, thinking she'd won, and dialed 911 with theatrical flair. As we waited for the sheriff, Karen's performance escalated. She paced around my truck, snapping photos and muttering about suing me into the ground. That's when things took a turn. Out of nowhere, a grizzled old man in a faded denim jacket shuffled up from the road. His name was Earl, a retired mechanic who lived a mile down the way. He'd been walking his dog and overheard Karen's tirade. "That truck's been on this ranch for years," he said, his voice gravelly but firm. "I helped fix its alternator last spring." Karen froze, her face twitching, but she doubled down, accusing Earl of lying to protect his hillbilly friend. The insult stung, but Earl's unexpected arrival shifted the air. My workers nodded, backing him up, and I felt a spark of hope. Karen wasn't just wrong, she was unraveling. The sheriff's cruiser finally pulled up, and out stepped Sheriff Daniels, a no-nonsense man who'd known my family for decades. Karen launched into her story again, now adding dramatic tears, claiming I'd threatened her when she tried to reclaim her property. I stayed calm, handing Daniels my registration and insurance papers. He glanced at them, then at Karen, whose story was starting to crack under his steady gaze. That's when I remembered the ace up my sleeve, the HD security cameras I'd installed around the ranch after some coyote trouble last year. "Sheriff," I said, "let's check the footage." Karen's eyes widened, just for a split second, before she scoffed, "Those cameras won't show anything." We gathered in my office, crowded around my laptop as I pulled up the feed. The footage was crystal clear. My truck, parked in its usual spot for weeks, no sign of Karen or her SUV until today. But the real bombshell came from the live feed. As we watched, Karen slipped out of the office, thinking no one noticed. The camera caught her sprinting to my truck, pulling a can of spray paint from her purse, and scrawling mine across the hood in bold red letters. She even scratched the side panels with her keys, her face twisted in smug defiance. The room went silent. Maria gasped, and one muttered something in Spanish about karma. Sheriff Daniels crossed his arms, his jaw tight. Karen had no idea the cameras were rolling. Daniels marched outside, and we followed. Karen was still by the truck, paint can in hand, frozen like a deer in headlights when she saw us. "Care to explain this?" Daniels asked, pointing at the dripping red letters. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. She stammered something about marking her property, but the lie collapsed under the weight of the footage. The sheriff read her rights, cuffing her as she sputtered about her connections and how we'd regret this. My workers cheered quietly, and Earl gave me a nod, his dog wagging its tail like it knew justice was served. Karen's vandalism, her lies, Her whole persona crumbled in that moment, exposed by the cold truth of the camera and the small-town witnesses who'd had enough of her arrogance. As they loaded Karen into the cruiser, her designer blazer now streaked with ranch dust, I felt a weight lift. The truck was mine, always had been, and the truth had won out. But more than that, it was the way my community won. Maria, even old Earl had stood up, not just for me, but for what was right. Karen's downfall wasn't just about her arrest. It was about her realizing she couldn't bully her way through people who valued honesty over flash. The ranch felt quieter that night, the stars brighter as I cleaned the paint off my truck. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a symbol of my hard work, my home, and the truth that held it all together. In the days that followed, word spread through town. Karen faced charges for vandalism and filing a false police report, her reputation in tatters. My ranch became a bit of a local legend, with folks stopping by to hear the story and laugh about the city lady who thought she could outsmart a rancher. I didn't care much for the attention, but I was grateful for the reminder. Truth has a way of catching up, no matter how loud someone screams their lies. What do you think? Have you ever seen someone like Karen try to bend the truth, only to face the consequences? Share your thoughts. Truth always finds a way, but it's the community that makes it stick.